Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at noon starts now.
The presidential recount underway in Michigan. County clerks working across the area, working tirelessly today. What could be hindering the recount here in Wayne County? A win for first responders in Michigan today. Firefighters and police fighting to keep their pensions, what they face going forward. But first, a masked man breaks into a Detroit home and assaults 2 women. And that does top our news here at noon. Thank you so much for joining us. Detroit police are searching for the man who allegedly broke into a house and beat those women. This all unfolded around 2 o'clock this morning on the 1300 block of Castleton, right by the I-96 area. Coco McAvoy is there on the scene. And Coco, it sounds like neighbors are pretty shaken up.
Yes, Rhonda, the alleged incident happened at this home here on Castleton, and obviously a very scary thought, the thought of a man breaking into your house who you don't know in the middle of the night and causing a lot of harm, and that has neighbors very troubled. The alleged incident happened just before 3 o'clock this morning. Police say a 43-year-old woman and 40-year-old woman were inside of the house here on Castleton when a man with a towel over his face came in through an unlocked window. The 40-year-old woman went downstairs after hearing a lot of noise and was allegedly beat up by the suspect, who told her to go upstairs. The suspect then beat up the 43-year-old woman and allegedly sexually assaulted her. A man who lives in the neighborhood, Lonnie Wills, couldn't believe the news.
Well, I'm just totally surprised because since I've been here, there's been no, violent activity to my knowledge. And in this block, everybody seems to be pretty close.
And police say the man left the house after the assault, so anyone with information is asked to call the Detroit Police Department. Reporting live this noon, I'm Coco McAvoy, Local 4.
All right, Coco, thank you. Quite a scary ordeal for those women. First responders declared a major victory in Lansing today as House Republicans abandoned efforts to reform retiree health care in the lame duck session. But it still faces contentious discussions in the new year as many local governments face possible bankruptcy due to high health care costs. But Local 4's Guy Gordon joins us now from Lansing. And Guy, this sounded more like a massive protest that became quite the victory rally.
It really did, Rhonda. Make no mistake, these first responders were very angry about this, blindsided by it in the lame duck session. These first responders in many cases gave up wage increases to make sure that their health care was fully funded. We know skyrocketing health care costs have really thrown a wrench into the gears on that. But take a look at this rally. They were here to protest that. They were anticipating a big hearing coming up this morning and perhaps a vote on this. A few House Republicans were trying to ram this through in just 10 days. These union members and rank and file, hundreds and hundreds of rank and file came out and said that would be reckless. And then in the 11th hour, they were told that these House Republicans were backing off, giving them a partial victory and a seat at the table in the next session of the legislature. Take a listen.
Our fear is going to be done irresponsibly, and there's going to be a lot of unintended consequences.
Now, here are the proposals going forward. This is what that was proposed in this package of bills. Retiree health care would no longer be negotiable in collective bargaining. New hires wouldn't get traditional coverage. Instead, 2% of their base pay would go into a retirement health savings account. And for current workers and retirees, and this was a big one, this included widows, surviving spouses, municipalities would pay only 80% of premiums. That meant for some of them, they would see a dramatic increase in what they had to pay.
Many municipalities across Michigan are facing financial bankruptcy in the next couple years, and we want to ensure that these police and fire are taken care of. So what's the best solution for that? That'll be determined by when we come in next session and allow for a more deliberative process.
Now, whether this package of bills that they were discussing will carry over in total into the next session, highly unlikely. We should see significant revisions, significant rewriting once the unions have a place at the table. We'll watch what happens there, but in the meantime, this very cranky group turned into a very satisfied group as they were headed home, many of them to Southeast Michigan. We're live in Lansing. I'm Guy Gordon, Local 4. Rhonda, back to you.
Well, quite the turnaround, but it still seems like these supporters of the reform had kind of an abrupt change. Was there something going on behind the scenes there?
You know, there always is in Lansing, Rhonda. Yes, indeed. I mean, there was very clear indications that there were significant defections from House Republicans and Senate Republicans. The message was sent from the Senate. This is DOA once it gets here, and that meant that the House was going to have to go back to the drawing board anyway.
All right. Well, we will continue to follow what happens. Guy, thank you. In the meantime, there's a lot happening with this presidential election recount here in Michigan. The counting continues while efforts to stop it also continue. The recount process is now underway for Macomb and Wayne counties. State officials say that some Wayne County votes might not be recounted because of improper seals on ballot boxes. Meanwhile, Michigan Secretary of State Bill Schuette has joined Attorney General has joined a federal lawsuit to block the recount. He claims that Green Party candidate Jill Stein does not have the legal standing to demand a recount. Today, a Detroit man learned that he will spend the next 25 to 60 years in prison for killing a mother while attempting to carjack her, something that happened when he was just a teenager. Police said that Ralph Marshall shot and killed 42-year-old Erica Gardner back in January, while Gardner was simply sitting in her car outside of the Light Guard Armory on 8 Mile, waiting for her son to come out of basketball practice. After sentencing today, the victim's cousin spoke out against the time Marshall received.
The sentence just wasn't fair. He should have got life to me. It's not worth the time he was sentenced to. Wasn't worth the time, what he took. He took my cousin away. He took a mother of 2 young kids away.
Marshall has another case pending in connection to another deadly carjacking. Also this noon, the death toll continues to stand at 36 in that horrifying fire that swept through an artist colony in a warehouse in Oakland, California. The search and investigation goes on at the site, which was not licensed as a living space, but there were many people living there, including the man who leased the space inside and managed it and actually lived there with his family himself. Today, he defended himself against allegations that he tried to make a profit at the expense of safety.
This is profit? The loss of mass life? Like, I'm a father. I laid my 3 children down there every night. Profit? This is not profit. This is loss. This is a mass grave.
Last night, a candlelight vigil held with flameless candles took place outside of the warehouse. Investigators say criminal charges could be filed. A Lincoln Park man is back in court today for a preliminary exam after allegedly fleeing the scene of a deadly hit and run involving a Detroit police officer. 54-year-old Steven Gazina is facing 6 different charges, including second-degree murder, after hitting Detroit police officer Myron Jarrett with his car back on October 28th. Today, Gazina is back in court as witnesses are being called to the stand. A Madison Heights police officer was taken to the hospital early this morning after his police car was hit by an SUV. It all unfolded about 5:30 this morning at the intersection of Dartmouth and University Avenue there in Madison Heights. The officer was on his way to a call when the SUV blew a stop sign and hit the officer's car. The officer was taken to a local hospital with minor injuries, but has since been treated and released. So we are happy to pass along that good news. Meanwhile, Paul Gross is watching over our chilly forecast around here. What's ahead for the rest of the day?
Not a real pretty afternoon, Rhonda, I tell you. And I want you to take a look at these numbers. I see 41 at Ferndale, Detroit, Dearborn, Livonia Metro, Monroe, Grosse Ile. This is going to be the last time for a long time you're going to see a number in which the first digit there is a 4. I mean, we're not going to see 40s for quite a while. 39 right now in Saline, not far away. 39 in Ann Arbor, Petersburg, you're at 39 to the north. Pretty similar temperatures. Rain is just moving toward you. And as you'll see here on radar, the rain is spreading very quickly into the area. Not as much to the north yet, but we're all going to get some rain, mostly light rain. There could be a couple of areas of steadier rain, but with temperatures in the upper 30s to near 40, It's a really chilly rain. It is really going to be a dreary afternoon. So sorry to have to pass along that news to you. But in any event, temperatures initially around 41, 42 degrees. Maybe you get one more degree over the next hour or so. But then actually slowly sliding. We'll probably be in the upper 30s by dinner time. The rain tapering off this evening. And then our first true Arctic blast of the season is coming your way. We will detail that coming up. But don't forget, I'll have your 4-zone forecast as well just ahead. If you can't wait another 10 minutes, go to clickondetroit.com. It's on the weather page. You'll see it right there. Rhonda?
All right, Paul, thank you. Still ahead on Local 4 News at noon, a local farmer coming to the rescue. The Great Lakes that this man went to when flames erupted inside of his neighbor's house. But first, terror threats here at home. What Los Angeles police got wind of that has the entire city on edge.
Hey guys, I want you to take a look at this. Okay, so I am literally holding this gentleman's heart in my hand. Have a heart mark. How does that feel? This is incredible technology. And we've been invited in to show you one of the largest, or actually I believe the largest collection in the world. And we're going to actually show you how this heart saved this man's heart. Oh, I can feel that. No. Right there.
Welcome back, everybody. The threat of a terror attack at a Los Angeles rail station has prompted police to increase security throughout the region. Authorities say that early this morning, a message was relayed to the FBI in Los Angeles of a potential threat at a busy commuter rail station. So far, there's been no indication an attack will happen, but the LA County Sheriff's Office is still urging residents to beware.
This could be real, it could be a hoax, but we must remain calm but vigilant.
At this hour, authorities are working to determine the credibility of the threat as the investigation continues. The rail station will continue to operate as normal as today, with the mayor of Los Angeles even riding that train with commuters himself to show his confidence. A big day ahead for President-elect Donald Trump as he's expected to officially announce his nomination for another cabinet position. Sometime today, Trump is expected to nominate General James Mattis as his Secretary of Defense. The announcement comes as Trump has plans to meet with a number of candidates today for other cabinet positions, including former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger and CEO of ExxonMobil, Rex Tillerson. A 63-year-old farmer is being hailed a hero. Wait until you see what he did. He pulled a burning tank of pressurized gas out of a small village that could have exploded at any time, by the way. The man saw flames coming from a neighbor's kitchen. He dragged it outside and tries to put the flames out using a rake to throw wet clothes on it. Well, that didn't work, so then he started dragging that flaming tank to a nearby pond and put it in the water until it burned out. The homeowner suffered burns, but nobody else, including that Good Samaritan, was injured. Coming up on Local 4 News at noon, drowsy driving. A new study shows just how dangerous it is to get behind the wheel when you are tired. Paul?
Well, I'll tell you, Rhonda, we have a lot to talk about. We will time out this afternoon's rain for you. We will time out the Arctic blast coming our way. And we have a system for Sunday that I think you want to pay attention to that forecast, too. We'll talk about it all coming up right after the break.
At first, my wheel was falling out.
You can see the joy and you can feel the excitement.
We folded it and put tape at the bottom.
Students at our Help Me Hank adopted school, Thurgood Marshall, getting to experience something not offered to children here before.
It makes me feel that I know that out there someone cares for my children and for me too.
Corporate leaders donating their time, money, and energy, creating a memory these kids will never forget.
Get them excited about learning something, like that's very, very cool for me personally.
Come with me inside this special school. You will be inspired. Tonight at 11.
Welcome back, everybody. Driving while tired can be very dangerous. In fact, as dangerous as drunk driving. That's according to a new study done by AAA. The study found that drivers who get less than 7 hours of sleep at night nearly double their risk for a crash. And if you sleep less than 5 hours, your risk of getting in a car crash is comparable to someone driving drunk. Unfortunately, while 97% of drivers say that they were aware of these dangers of driving while drowsy, nearly 1/3 admitted that they have recently driven on little to no sleep. Always pull over if those eyelids start getting heavy, right, Paul?
Absolutely, and add that to the distracted driving, and boy, I set a record yesterday. I saw more distracted drivers weaving in and out of lanes yesterday coming into work than I've ever seen in my entire life. It was terrible. All right, right now, 41 degrees at Metro, 40 in Ann Arbor. Again, as I said at the top of the show, these are the last 40s you're going to see for quite a while. 37 in Pontiac, 37 over in Adrian. Basically an east wind. It's very light, so not much of a wind chill to talk about, but we do have rain to talk about. But you know, when you have temperatures around 40 or in the upper 30s and you have rain, it's pretty miserable. So it is going to be a pretty tough afternoon if you have to be outside. And I'm not sure what's happening with the top part of this radar image here, but you can see the rain, though, spreading northward across the area. And let me explain to you what's going on here. We have not one, but two different systems we're dealing with. Now, the rain that we're getting is actually not in association with the cold front that's coming tonight. We'll talk about that in a second. It's actually this storm system that's come up all the way from the Gulf Coast in 24 hours, zipping up to the northeast. The heaviest rain is going to be just north and east of this low, and we're on the northwest side of the low. So we're going to get rain, but it's not going to be the real heavier type of rain that they're getting down to the south. Now, this is the front edge of the Arctic air. We've been telling you about this for a week and a half now or so, and the front itself comes through tonight with very little fanfare. In fact, let me show it to you. So here's this afternoon with the rain in the area. Now, the rain will still be here for the afternoon commute, so plan on wet roads. If you're watching from work right now on clickondetroit.com, just plan for a slow drive home. Still some showers in the early evening, but notice those push out, and by about midnight or so, this front is crossing the area, and then we get a little sun and cooler tomorrow by about 5-6 degrees, but then notice these striations. That's cold air coming across the Great Lakes, breezy with snow showers starting on Thursday, and I'll show you those temperatures in a minute. But let's start with rainfall this afternoon. Here in our metro zone, in the 4-zone forecast, just over 1/4 of an inch here, maybe about 1/3 of an inch down toward Trenton, and to the south in our south zone, about 1/3 of an inch to the south and east, but then you get to the west, it's more like between 1/4 of an inch and 1/3 of an inch. Our west zone, the heaviest amounts down to the south, where it's again between about a 1/4 and 1/3 of an inch, and then dropping down to about 2/10 of an inch or so to the north. In our north zone, the lightest amounts are actually to the far north and east, where you're not even going to make it to 2/10 of an inch. Down to the south part of that zone, it's going to be in the 1/4 inch range. So again, 41 this afternoon, the high, with temperatures sliding a bit toward the end of the afternoon. So 36 tomorrow, barely making it to 30. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, wind chills all 3 days in the teens. And Sunday we have to keep an eye on. Right now, Rhonda, the models to me are looking like it's more snow than rain, and that means we might have to do some shoveling. Ben will have an update on that coming up at 4, 5, and 6.
The kids excited, that's for sure. They want some accumulating snow. Well, you want to stick around on Local 4 today for Ellen, big laughs, and a bizarre breaking news story from Local 4.
This just in, do not reply all to that email, because you don't need to email every person in the entire building just to say, I agree.
He's so right, huh? That's our Devin Skillian delivering another round of hilarious news updates from our downtown studio straight to the Ellen Show viewers. Still ahead on Local 4 News at noon, an emotional homecoming. A World War II vet returns to Pearl Harbor as we remember the 75th anniversary of the attack. Welcome back, everybody. Tomorrow marks the 75th anniversary of the Japan's sneak attack on the U.S. Navy fleet at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii.
And one Navy veteran who was there is going to be returning to Pearl Harbor for the very first time. Robert Coles is 92 years old and lives in Maine. His friends have arranged for him to be in Pearl Harbor tomorrow.
And he was a radio man on the destroyer USS Bagley and ran to fire machine guns when Japanese bombers attacked. Cole hopes that his Pearl Harbor visit will bring closure to his wartime memories. No doubt that will be a very
anniversary.
moving experience.
And I understand you have a local connection with...
We have a local connection.
Yeah.
The Levy Middle School Marching Band of Southfield Middle School Band raised enough money to get all the way to Hawaii in order to actually play some wonderful music and be a part of that ceremony there at Pearl Harbor.